Alright, hello, this is ODQ, and I am going to attempt to do a video doing boxing. I'm not completely new to this, but this is new for me recording it, and I don't normally, I just got the itch to give it another shot. So this is my shaman here, Gimple, and his trusty companion, Pimple. And so they're helping me out here. I basically use him as just a buff bot. When I come across a rare mob, I'll have him debuff the mob and slow it by doing an Alt-Tab thing. I don't know if this is going to show up on the recording. I'm going to Alt-Tab, boom, and I see everything from Gimple's point of view now. And everything I do is under his thing. He is level 111 because I don't use him very much. I've been using him, I would say, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, so pretty consistently, although last few days I've just got sick of alt-tabbing, so I just went solo. It's very helpful. If for no other reason than the buff you get right here is an aura, and having the extra healer merc gives a certain sense of security. So I have him. So on a rare mob, I'll pull the mob after making sure my pet is super buffed or whatever, and I'll send my pet in, and then I'll alt tab and I'll have him debuff, and then I'll alt tab back and I'll hit my DPS stuff, and then I start rocking and rolling on all my little macros that I do through fights. Once I get all these things going, and except these are mana things. These are mana things, and so these right here are the things I use for, what do you call them, little extra damage boosts and whatnot. Silent casting I have, so for if I have to use a charm pet to kill a rare, that helps out to make sure I don't get aggro from because of the charm pets. They're horrible at trying to keep aggro, but silent casting makes it pretty regular. So I'm going to go ahead and pull a mob here, and this is a regular trash mob. Hopefully the Texiki isn't gonna be a problem and spawn right in front. Okay, and I just go ahead and kill him like normal, as if I was soloing on just the trash mobs. I have a different setup for my macros a little bit. I've made things a little more consistent and automatic for using the AA swarm pets, and also the Wake the Dead thing too. So I'm just hitting my macros like normal. That's doing the medium dots right now, and I'm going to hit the number 6 for the short dots macro. And I hit that, and it's going to town. I hate having to use the mouse when I play. I just hit the numbers and I use the directional keys to move around. I'm going to hit the Lazy Bones macro. So this is no longer for me a spam button. So it sends the swarm pets in, then it does an extra dot, and then, as you saw, it does the Wake Dead thing. I have it timed out. I'll show those. Then I just keep hitting. Keep hitting that number 7 until the trash mob is dead. Since this is the last cast in it and it's already done, it's not going to do it. So it just does the swarm pets and then the dot. And the dot doesn't have it, never runs out, because I just keep hitting it on refresh whenever the swarm, my spell swarm pets, little baby skeletons, refresh. And because it's very mana efficient, you know, super mana efficient. If you look at the spells here, call skeletal mass, this is adjusted because of your gear that will make certain, will give you a break on mana and stuff. This is the base mana, but this right here is what you're going to pay anywhere in this range. So if you guesstimate, okay, somewhere around, I always kind of say like 2,500. Guesstimate on average is what you're going to get for having to, is what you're going to have to spend for that spell. And then this right here is pretty much a very similar kind of average. So if you average, so like 2,500 for this. So 2,500, that's 5,000. This is a heck of a good amount of damage. This dot combined with the swarm pets, the 3 skeleton pets that come out from this, rank 2, it's one heck of a bargain if you care about mana efficiency. And even necros nowadays have to manage your mana a little bit if you want to keep kind of going non-stop. It's still possible to kind of go non-stop, but if you want to go pretty much non-stop, you can't throw caution to the wind and just kind of start, you know, doing stuff. I'll show you the macros after this fight. Hit number 4. When I'm at this Tuxiki camp, I like to be kind of hid back here. As you can see right there, that mob that came in right here is, he'll add if you're kind of out there. And I don't like to deal with more than one mob at a time, especially if I have another character like this shaman that I got him invisible. And it's just messy, and you know, just try to keep things simple and lazy. I'm a lazy necro. It's been a long time since I've done the recording, so I hope I have the mic placed right. I have to have it at a certain position away from my mouth to make sure I'm not you know, having a lot of extra ambient sounds, you know, breathing and other stuff like that. Smacking of the lips stuff. And yeah, so I'm just hitting 7 over and over again. The kills are pretty slow, even for the trash mobs. I'm just going to hit it again. So why not? My mana is over like 78%. And I still got Death Bloom I could hit to get mana back. I have to be around 60% before I hit Death Bloom to help with that. Alright, so let's go over the macros here real quick. The spell line I have is what I call Combat Leech, because this leeches mana. This is a dot that leeches mana. The other mana spell I used to have in here, the Mana Drain, is more powerful, but it doesn't do damage. And lately I've been using this one here just to throw in an extra dot. Adding this one extra dot instead of the Blood Nuke, which is this right here, is the current version of what I call the Blood Nuke, that gives you a possible increase in damage. And it's just, it's nice when it procs. It's around the same mana, and I just find that having the dot up instead of having to use that, at least in this current, you know, X-Pack and stuff, this is just more consistent. Adding one more dot to your lineup just adds so much more damage overall. It's more consistent. If you happen to twin cast it, you know, it's pretty awesome. So here, this right here is, my snare one. I've shown that before. This right here is the same as I've had before. This right here, my debuff button, or debuff rune, I've changed. I didn't label this, so let me go ahead and label them since I'm doing this. This right here is Rise of Bones. And this one right here is the Swarm of Decay. And this right here is Scent of Thule. And then of course that's a pause. I'm going to save that so I don't... okay, so here we go, because I like to have them labeled. These right here are instantaneous AAs, but for some reason, if you put Decay on top and the Bones on the second one, it acts a little wonky and both of them kind of go off, which I want to have them spaced out. They're all, because they're both on, I think, 9-minute timers. So, so the first time I hit this in a fight, if Bones is up, it'll go off. As you see, they're staggered, which is what I prefer. And Bones will go off, and then this won't, because it hits this line and it skips over this line. So this will remain. This won't go off, and it'll remain for the next fight. It'll go off then. Then it'll cast Scent of Thule. The global cooldown for spells does not count for AAs. So these will just kind of go bop bop right in order. Now there's a cast time associated with this. So I put a pause in there to make sure I get my wounds dot off. And the way this is timed out for my lag, which is 74 ms, somewhere around there, anywhere from 60 to 75 is typically what I have for my lag meter. This works fine. It times out pretty good for me. If your situation's different with the routing from where you're at, you know, in the country or world or whatever, this pause might have to be a little bit more. That's just kind of how macros are, though. I prefer to use macros instead of do keybinds because I have other characters, but I rarely play them, and they all play a little different. I got a ranger and I got some other stuff, so I just do macros. They're fine for me. Right, so these are the dots. Just keeps going right down the line. Very unremarkable. They're all in the same pause in between, and they're all just have 3. I don't double up so I can do 5. I just have them do 3 each. It seems to be more dependable, more responsive if you don't load up the extra lines. Try to do, you know, there's a way you can do it. I used to have in some of my previous videos back a while ago, I used to really load up the macros with everything I could for the dots, so I wouldn't have to hit, you know, the buttons as much. I lately, over the last several months, I've just actually really more like about a year or 2. Anyway, I kind of prefer to do it like this. Lazy Bones is because I have this right here is my spam button. It had all of this kind of old. I don't use it anymore. I use this now, and I don't have this labeled, so I'm going to label this. This is commenting. If you use parentheses, it's like commenting it out for when you're like coding or something, so it won't affect how it performs. So this is call skeleton mass. And this one is, I think, ignite something, right? Yeah, ignite cognition. And then this is Wake the Dead. Oops, Wake the Dead. So there we go. And that right there, this is a time, this has a timer on it, a casting time associated with it also. That's perfectly fine. It's at the end. So, and there's about, this right here is a short timer. So I think it's about 3 minutes. So you use it pretty often, almost once a fight. So, and the pets that come out, hopefully, you just saw them. I mean, it was summoning, you have to have dead bodies around. Now, I use a command here. I'm going to undo it here. Oops. Let's hide corpse. None is how to turn it off. Now, you can see I have bodies around. I prefer to reduce lag and stuff like that. I prefer not to see that. So what I do is I do /hide corpse, all one word, then always. When you do that, it'll hide the corpses all the time. With the advanced loot system, you don't really need to manually click on corpses to loot them anymore. So this helps keep the lag down. Right, just with a few bodies, it's not that big a deal, but if you're in a group or if you are really rocking and rolling on some trivial stuff, and it's and you get a bunch of bodies that are kind of hanging out, it can affect your lag a little bit. A little less so since they've switched to a 64-bit system instead of 32, and they can use more memory on their servers, but it still happens. It's a MMO. It's an MMO. There's always going to be lag you have to deal with. As you can see, this went off, but this didn't on this macro right here. I'm going to hit number 5, which is just dots. But as you can see, this one went off, but this one didn't, and then this cast. So that performed just how I've designed it. I just hit number 6 for the other dots. These rise of the button, these little red swarm pets here, they do pretty good. They're more durable than damage, but they you can't have too many swarm pets. And there we go. You can see these right here. These came from those dead bodies because this went off. I'm going to hit number 7 again, which is this right here, and it does that, and it casts the spell that I may have interfered with it. I think I did. Yeah, I interfered with it when I clicked on this. I haven't given the game permission to use more than one thread on my. I just haven't gotten around to it. I'm gonna hit number 7 again, just to kind of kill it quicker, and yeah, it's good to go. It's very, very efficient. If you're into fast killing, that's not. If you're playing a necro, you're not into. You're not fast killing. I mean, obviously, it's not a big priority for you. But necros excel at taking down rares, even just solo, which is what I normally would do. But things are a little easier with the shaman, and it's something else for me to kind of, improve and stuff, just so because I'm almost max AA'd with this character. It just gives you something to kind of work on. As you can see, I hit the 3rd one. Now the Swarm of Decay is out. This is the little skeleton archers. They do very little damage, but it's free, so you may as well just throw them out there. One thing before I go about these skeleton archers is something you have to really be aware of, is that if these guys are out, they have crazy range. because they have crazy range, and they will start attacking if you get attacked. If you pull a mob that has a spell or something, and you get dinged with a stun or some sort of or dot or any kind of aggressive thing from a mob, and you have these out, these will start going to town on whatever you're pulling. And they will get aggro. And if you happen to be pulling and you need to FD, feign death, to split something, and these guys are out and you get hit with something, the mob will continue, both of them will continue coming right into your camp, because these guys have the aggro. Now if you're FD and your box shaman or other box characters are invisible, unless it's a rare, it's not that huge of a deal. But your mercs, unless you want to try to game it and save the day with your main character and root split and kind of try to get 2 or 3 or however many mobs there are to try to handle the situation, you can deal with that. But what I typically do is I just let the mercs die, take a 5-minute break, get them back, and then start rocking and rolling again. That's all. It's not that big a deal. These up here are all the shaman buffs and extra buffs like that. This right here is a Mask of the Deceiver, because my normal, this guy is normally I have this Dark Elf Illusion thing because you can do it on a mount, so you have to unmount or anything. So I'll take it off. This is my character as a gnome, right? And I actually prefer them a little smaller like this, but I don't feel like clicking the illusion off all the time. And I like this buff that I have. This is actually, this is the buff. Gives you a little extra mana regen, basically. Okay, and I get that buff from this right here, which is in the marketplace. It's a marketplace item, and it gives you, I think it ends up being about an extra 19, you get around 20 or 30 extra mana per tick. A lot of people use that, and when you use this, you can get this buff no matter what illusion you use. So, I would use the Dark Elf because you can do that on the mount. As you can see, I'm going to click it right now, and it'll refresh this buff here. There you go. And it's extended by your AAs, so there we go, we're invisible again. So that's how that works for me, and that's what I prefer to use. I like to have my mana regen as high as it can be, and combat mana regen is over 1,000, 1,005. Because of the cost of the spells, it's not as great as one might think. Necro spells are pretty expensive, but they had to really tone that down, because I remember in the Empires of Canark X-Pack, I was able to I didn't even ever bother even looking at my mana. I just went non-stop, just rolling, because it was before the dot revamp, and I could just go. It didn't matter at all. So there we go. That's a little update on this right here, the pet power, if you want to see that. I've shown this before, but since I'm doing some things here, this is all of the things I do for my DPS. It may not be the most optimal thing, but it works for me. I'm able to kill the rares, so I'm good. I'm able to kill the rares solo. Again, I'm just kind of boxing the shaman just to have, this is kind of an extra thing to do. It's nice having a little buff bot around, and having an extra healer merc makes things a little safer. The rares, this one here in particular, but a lot of the rares have extra abilities and behaviors that can make soloing them a little bit more of a pain in the rump in this X-Pack. You can do it, and they're not super strong, but they got There's a wolf, a rare wolf that's in this zone up around here. I have old maps. Sorry. He's up in this area. And when he spawns, you can take him on. He will randomly attack other people in your party. So you want to swarm pen him as much as possible. So that's one behavior that makes him a little bit more of a pain in the rump. There are other mobs. I think there's a vampire rare down here that will spawn ads. And I hate ads, so I'll probably never kill him unless I'm in a group. This guy right here, Texiki, in this area where I'm at here, he will, he has a AoE dot. I think it's a dot. It might be instant damage. I think it's an instant damage with stun. I never really looked at it specifically, but it's very powerful. And in other words, my 111 shaman with really crappy gear, usually if he gets hit at the right time, before he gets healed in time, he dies about half the time. I very rarely die, and my pet rarely dies. I could kill him solo really just as easy as I can with the shaman, but again, this is just an extra thing I'm doing. Whether or not I don't always use the shaman, and when I do, I basically just play like I'm soloing anyway, unless I'm on the rare. Then I just have the shaman slow it, and then I use him. I'm going to alt tab over. I don't know if you can see this. You may not, but I have a heals macro for the shaman that does 3 group heals. One's a heal over time, one's a recourse, and then there's another one that's kind of a ward that's on him to help him possibly survive. But it doesn't always work. So there we go. I don't know if you could see that when I went to the other screen. We'll see. If my recording software, this is just the Xbox recording in Windows, so it's easy to use. So this is what I prefer to use. So I think that's about it. So you all have a great day, and I hope this was helpful with some of the macro things, and just kind of, I don't know, I just felt like explaining how I'm using a box shaman, which is a very basic thing. I alt tab. I don't use any extra software. I don't care if it's free. I prefer just to do it sort of a manual kind of way, just to make sure I don't get dinged for any kind of weird stuff with their terms of service thing for the game. I don't have to worry about that. So there's all kinds of stuff on the forums about people, technically not breaking the rules, but they are using the software, but they're boxing, as they say, legitimately, and they get reported as a bot. I mean, the odds of me being reported legitimately, mistakenly as a bot is very minimal, if at all, because number one, I just have one extra character instead of running a full party with mercs, 3 characters. And number two, the shaman's not doing really anything. He's just sitting here the whole time, unless I want to refresh buffs. It's just, I use them very minimally because I hate to alt tab. There's just something about it. Alt tab there, alt tab here. If you have to flip back and forth too much, this is why people use that software. But I know there is software that is legal technically, and then there's other software that is not legal, depending on how you use it. Or I don't know. It's all too gray for me. I just want to keep it simple, so I don't have to worry about anything. It's a game. I don't have to worry about any kind of crap like that. So, because it makes it stressful, and then I don't enjoy it as much. So, there we go. That's about it. The video is, because I'm all chatty, is running just about at about half hour. So, have a great day, and that's it. I'm out for real this time. Have a good one. Bye.